Welcome, sir. We actually had Mr. Amitabh Kant for our AGM this year, and some of my senior colleagues who are in Singapore, heard him for the first time, and they basically came back and said, we have not heard such a smart man speaking in a very, very long time. And that's the benefit you have today of him agreeing to speak today. And before we get into, how we solve the problem, let's just talk about the problem. The lady came from Ladakh. In one day, her throat is gone. She's sick, and she's like telling us, "I need to go back home." What are we doing, sir? How do we solve Delhi first? Forget solving for India and solving for the global India taking leadership for global climate solution problems.
So, Pratibha, I think, first of all, we should realize that Delhi has been rated as the most polluted capital, and we need year-round action. We've just put Delhi on GRAP 3, but GRAP 3 is the culmination of everything. It's too late in the day. You need very ruthless, firm action on a series of measures. First and foremost, to my mind, is that there's a lot of burning of agriculture, crop, etc., going around Delhi, largely because chowkidars, etc., find it easy. We need to provide everyone with LPG connection. LPG to every single person who's using firewood is important. Number two is that all the power plants in and around Delhi, which do not use the most advanced technology, which had to be put by 2018 and has not been done, need to be closed. Absolutely closed. Number three, to my mind, there are number of industrial units in and around Delhi which are still using diesel generating sets, etc. They need all to be made to switch over in the next 3 to 4 months into clean gas. And fourthly, if you look across, if you move towards Rajasthan side, there's a lot of brick kiln factories which are using outdated brick kiln technology. All of that needs to be modified and changed within the next 5 to 6 months. And fourthly, I think all two-wheelers, three-wheelers must be asked to go electric by 2026. In fact, no fossil fuel two-wheeler, three-wheeler should be sold. And also four-wheelers, and give them another 2 years, 2027, 28, everything should go electric, and there should be mass transportation of through electric buses. That, to my mind, is the key. But this last point I want to make is that there is a lot of dust around Delhi, and this requires, if Indore could be cleaned up, if Surat could be cleaned up, if Mysore could be cleaned up, and those roads in these cities can be absolutely spick and span and clean of dust, then so can Delhi be. And what it reveals is that very tough municipal governance holds the key. And these series of measures, this action plan of 7-8 points that I've said, really holds the key to sustained action over the next 2 to 3 years, is very, very critical. That because we are impacting the lives of citizens, we are impacting the lives of children, we are impacting the perception about India. All this is very critical.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. That was wonderful. Hopefully the right policy makers are listening. But it needs to be worked across municipalities, states, and across the country. That can't be an easy task.
So if Delhi sets the trend, Delhi demonstrates that this is doable. This is very much doable. If Los Angeles could do it, if Beijing could do it, if Shanghai could do it, if Indore could do it, If Mysore could do it, so can Delhi. If Delhi demonstrates it, it will send a huge message to all other cities of India. That's what needs to be done.
From a man who has the necessary experience in this regard, I think we need to take this very, very seriously and start working at least at the municipality levels. Shifting the focus to nationals, we did this conference last year, and I can tell you from last year to this year, the focus for the conference is obviously financing green growth. And the financing, if anything, has dwindled, it's not increased. It's a real issue that the industry is facing. I think geopolitical issues are contributing to it. They haven't gotten better. We thought, they will calm down and things will return to normal, but we haven't seen that happen. From your perspective, what can India do to help accelerate that investment? Because the need is obviously today. This capital coming 3 years hence is not going to be of use to us anymore. So what is it that you think we can do towards accelerating that capital growth?
So firstly, there's no shortage of funds in the world. There's $300 trillion available with pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, PE funds, etc. We need to ensure that the projects we put out are very well structured. This requires policy measures, this requires technology, this requires good structuring of projects. This requires first loss guarantees, this requires blended finance, this requires escrow mechanism, this requires that when you structure projects, the discoms which buy your renewable energy have good financial strength. So this financing would work. Private sector will be able to attract more and more capital, exactly like Indian renewable energy has attracted. Indian renewable energy has attracted a lot of capital, not because of government. The government has put in place certain policies, but the private sector has been able to attract private equity funds, venture capital funds from across the world. It has flown in. India has been able to set up some of the finest private firms, some of the best startups in India, some of the biggest, largest renewable parks in India, in the world today are in India. Some of the finest companies are in India. They've all happened because of the policy measures by the government, by the initiative of the private sector. They've brought in the technology, but the financial payment to the suppliers of power was assured through the mechanism built up by the government of India. And that is why the policy, technology, finance all works through a backward-forward linkage. All this has to work, and that is really the key to future growth.
So, but for that, there are two major setbacks that we are facing. One is just messaging, with US saying sustainability is not a focus. The messaging globally is not in favor of climate finance. And at the same time, we are not seeing, whatever the policies were there, the government had framed. It seems that there is something extra needed to push it further so that you can fill the gap that, some of the negative noise has brought in.
So first of all, I don't think we need bother about the United States of America. United States of America had backed out earlier when last time Trump came in, yet India went ahead and did the renewable energy projects. Trump has again backed out. The United States is already developed. India is developing. India has the opportunity to be the world's leader in industrialization and urbanization. It has the opportunity to be the first country in the world to industrialize and urbanize through a process of decarbonization. It has the opportunity to bring in cutting-edge technology. America doesn't have that opportunity. It has the opportunity to be the champion of green hydrogen, to produce green hydrogen and the ammonia at the lowest cost in the world. India is climatically blessed. America is not. We can produce renewable at the lowest price points, which United States cannot. We can use renewable energy to crack water and produce green hydrogen. United States produces it at $8 per kilogram. India produces it at $4 per kilogram. We have the possibility of bringing it down to $1 per kilogram. So follow anyone, but don't follow the United States as far as clean energy is concerned.
Wonderful, sir.
Yeah.
And you're so right. India has added nearly 180 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity.
No, India has not done 180. India has done 256 gigawatt of renewable energy. Okay. No country in the world has been able to do what India has done. 256 gigawatt of renewable energy. India is the only country which has more than achieved what it had committed to at COP21 in Paris. And it has been able to do this because it said that DISCOMs will buy 43% of their power, which will be green power by 2030. Green corridors were created. DISCOM started buying green power. India, all its tenders were for solar energy, then it went to solar plus wind, and now it is solar plus wind plus storage, 24/7. And that no other country in the world has been able to do. Large-scale tenders of solar plus wind plus storage. And all tenders in future should be linked with storage. Because we've reached a stage where you are getting actually solar power at 1 rupee in the morning, but you're getting solar at 9.5 rupees in the night. So you need storage round the clock. And therefore, 24/7 storage is really the answer.
And so when this... when we saw this growth in renewable, you were at the center of it. What were the policies that helped enable, this kind of growth for renewable so that we can understand what we need to do for the rest of the climate sectors? So
first and foremost, one should be very clear that the growth in green energy has to be driven by the private sector. That's what has happened in India. It's not been driven by government. But what the government did, it put the right policy framework. It created SECI, which started doing the tenders. SECI started putting all the state governments together and then putting up large auction bids. Thirdly, what the government of India said is that DISCOM should buy green power. Fourthly, what did the government of India say? That you create green corridors so that India is the only country in the world today where the entire transmission grid is fully digital. You have one grid across the country. You can produce green energy in Tamil Nadu, put it on your grid, and it can go to the eastern part of India. United States doesn't have that. Europe doesn't have that. No other country in the world has that. So one grid, which is a green grid, your policy enabler, SECI, put out large bids. DISCOM started buying it, and the government of India said that by 2030, 43% of your power must be green. And therefore, all this was the policy decision. So first was private sector, large tenders. Their repayments were assured through SECI, through a tripartite agreement between the center, state, and the buyer. And the DISCOMs then started buying. And therefore, there was absolute surety that those who finance private sector will get repaid back through this escrow mechanism, and private equity started flowing in, debt started flowing in, and all this you are seeing in India is a creation of private enterprise. The power, when we started renewable energy, power was at 24 rupees. It came down to 2 rupees. And right now, actually, solar alone, you can get at 2 rupees. Solar, wind, and storage is what we are pushing for now. And the next stage, you will see a lot of pump storage in India. Pump storages will happen. Battery storage will happen in India. And you will see a lot of push towards green hydrogen in the coming years.
Let me shift focus a little to, one of your last portfolios. On technology transfers, that has been a very contentious issue in global climate negotiations. What, according to you, is the model that India should adopt? What works? Public-private partnerships, international consortia, patent pooling. How do we achieve the promise for India's technology scale-up?
So this should be driven by the private sector. The private sector should go and buy the best technology possible. There should be government to government mechanisms. Quite often they may not work, but private sector should go and get the most advanced technology. The only way you can overtake China is because in the present scale of things, China's, look at what has happened. I mean, if you look at critical minerals, they control the critical minerals. If you look at EV batteries, they control about almost 80% of it. If you look at wind energy, they control 70% of it. If you look at solar energy, they control 85% of it. That means the whole value chain of clean technology is controlled by one country in the world, and that's China. And that has all happened because United States and Europe have totally absented themselves from clean technology. They have withdrawn. And India must take this head on and get into the next technology level, the wave of next technology, so that we can bring size and scale, like we did with LED. We procured 500 million LED bulbs. That brought down the cost of LED to 15% of what the original cost was. We bought 7,000 electric buses for 6 cities. The next tender is for 10,000. The third tender will be for 30,000 buses. The fourth tender, Prime Minister said, will be for 100,000 buses. Now, if you procure 100,000 electric buses, the price of electric buses will fall radically in India, and you will have all these manufacturers making in India. So use the size and scale of India. India is not like one county. It's not like you. India is bigger than 24 countries of Europe plus 30,000 kilometers. So use the size and scale of India to do things at a green discount. You know, when Bill Gates and all talk about it, they say when you move from fossil fuel to clean technologies, you pay a premium of 30 to 35%. India has actually demonstrated that we don't pay a premium, we can do it at a discount because of the size and scale of India. And that is what India should do in all cutting-edge technologies.
That is very true, sir. Now, we run the largest fleet of EV buses under our green cell mobility.
Wow.
And I can tell you the scale definitely makes a difference, but there are complications for federal state, democratic state that adds to the complications where, you know, the challenges come up. Which brings me to the other big goal that India has, which somehow, you know, there is always a question of how do you balance decarbonization with manufacturing growth. And that's India's next biggest challenge. So, you know, there are enough proponents saying just focus on manufacturing growth and, you know, the rest will come later. But I'm sure the people in this room will not agree. Just wanted to take your view on, you know, how do we balance the two?
Just do deep decarbonization in all sectors. Steel, cement, all these sectors, deep decarbonization has to be done. Because try and understand, you know, in United States America in 1920s was actually driving hydrogen in many ways. It used to run on railways. The American car companies brought over the railway lines, destroyed them so that fossil fuel cars should be sold. So actually, General Motors, Ford, they all sold fossil fuel cars, and the American cities were made for cars and not for people. That model was replicated in Europe, that model was replicated in many emerging markets, but that model needs to be altered. And the model is that we need to make cities for people, for cycling, for walking, for buses, and not for fossil fuel cars. And it's very important that since India is climatically blessed, nobody can produce renewable energy at price points which India can. And therefore, India must crack water, produce green hydrogen, and in its liquid form, ammonia, export to the rest of the world, and produce green hydrogen at the lowest price points in India. And actually, that will enable you to decarbonize steel, decarbonize cement, decarbonize fertilizer, all that through green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is the future of technology. That is where India must be the champion of the world.
And do you think we are achieving, you know, the National Green Hydrogen Mission really, I think that was the focus of India.
No, so a lot of support to the private sector has been done. A lot of bids have come out through Indian Oil, BPCL. We've got very good bids, but in the long run, you'll see a number of companies, L&T, which is doing electrolyzer. You will see Ambani's, Adani's, Greenco, Renew, and great funds like yours, Eversource, etc., which has done some remarkable work, all of you, and many other international funders will all come into the green hydrogen journey. Today, the cost of green hydrogen is $4.50 in India per kilogram. Our objective has to be that bring down the cost of green hydrogen to $1 per kilogram by 2030 and become the cheapest producer of green hydrogen to the world. That is what our aim should be.
And become the global hub.
Yeah, absolutely. The global hub, the global champion, not the hub. You have to be the champion.
Wonderful, sir. But I really hope we can achieve all these great, ambitious plans that we have. Because
Why do you have doubts? Why do you have doubts?
Because in this room, the conversation
the
has been around finance.
Same thing used to be said about digital technology. We've leapfrogged. India is the only country which does fast payment, which does credit, which does stock market, which does insurance, all within 60 seconds on mobile. Why are you so despondent? Why are you such a big pessimist?
I think because I'm a lawyer,
Yeah.
the pessimist in me is just ever constant. I think what we need is a champion who's positive in thought constantly and has put it in action. So my suggestion is we use sir and make him a champion for...
No, India has to be the
financing.
champion. India must become the champion in cutting-edge clean technologies. We all must push for it. That should be the objective, and that should be our task. And no other country is blessed climatically to do that other than India.
Absolutely. But I know time
There's
is
only
up.
one other country, which is Saudi Arabia, which has climatic conditions for solar, but it is full of so much of fossil fuel that it will only keep doing fossil fuel. So, and in size and scale, India is very big. So we should use our climatic conditions.
So you mentioned about technology, absolutely. But just transitions is also important, and that's about people. How do we ensure that, the focus stays on jobs, reskilling?
So you push for this green transition in the manner which I was talking about, green hydrogen. You'll be creating something like 30 million jobs a year, green jobs. India has the potential to create more jobs from green economy than any other sector. The green economy of India is capable of producing 30 million jobs a year. From bamboo to hydrogen to solar to renewables to every single sector, you will create 30 million jobs. And that should be our focus. Growth with jobs with clean technology.
Wonderful. Music to all our ears. I can tell you, I have never seen an audience awake after lunch session. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And I have signed you up to be the champion for this industry. So we'll be taking a lot much more of your time. I think you're already regretting coming.
No, I'm always there for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.